Association. But now let's have a look at the report that has been released by the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Ambassador Ukur Yatani, who has this morning launched the second survey on the COVID-19 pandemic economic impact on Kenyan households. Let's listen in.
A report on socio-economic impact of COVID-19 on households. The report, whose data was collected in early June 2020, highlights the impacts of COVID-19 mainly on health, labor, market, transport costs, and housing. As you are aware, coronavirus is highly contagious, and the first case was confirmed on 13th March 2020. This led to the government to institute several measures in order to curb the spread. Such measures included banning of all passenger flights, temporary closures of bars, suspension of learning in all education institutions, dusk to dawn curfew, cessation of movement in and out of some high-risk areas, among others. In order to cushion the citizen from the adverse effects of the disease, the government instituted a number of interventions spearheaded by various committees and groups. The government, cognizant of the need for evidence-based approach in responding to issues affecting the economy, tasked the Economic and Business Response Working Group, which is led by my ministry, to undertake a survey on socio-economic impact of COVID-19 on households. This report, therefore, contains information which will help the government to provide targeted response and for sound formulation of strategies and policies necessary for developing interventions to cushion the households. The objectives of the survey include measurement of the impact of COVID-19 on health, labor market, transport costs, and housing. The survey is also aimed at assessing the awareness of COVID-19 and the appropriate protective measures. The data collection for the second wave was undertaken from 30th May to 6th June 2020. The survey is being implemented using computer-assisted telephone interviews approach, in which the interviews are conducted through telephone. Ladies and gentlemen, among the key findings of the report in the first wave of the survey includes, on the economic activity, the survey results show that out of the population of 18 years and above that worked for at least 1 hour during the 7 days preceding the survey period, 55.9% were aged 35 to 64 years. On working status, almost half, about 48.5% of the working population were self-employed persons, comprising of working employers and own workers, while 35% were paid employees. About 4 out of 10, which is about 41.1% males, were in paid employment, compared to about 3 out of 10, 27.9% of the females. The proportion of those absent from work due to COVID-19 related issues was 61.9%, up from 49.9% that was recorded in May 2020. Of those absent from work, 77.8% were not sure when they will return to work. On travel patterns and cost of transportation, overall, 26.4% of individuals aged 18 years and above reported that they had not changed their travel patterns as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Nearly 27% indicated that they had traveled less often, while a further 17.4% had traveled less often but with more difficulty. Further, about 16.8% of the individuals indicated that they were unable to travel at all. Regarding change in cost of travel, nationally, 59.2% of the respondents reported a change in their cost travel due to pandemic, with 91.3% of them reporting an increase. On the means of transport used, about 14% of respondents changed their main means of transport as a coping mechanism to counter the effects of the pandemic. Out of those who had changed their means of transport, 62.2% opted to walking, while 19.4% opted to use boda. Only 5.8% indicated use of private vehicles as their main means of transport. On payment of house rent, nationally, 31.6% of households reported having paid rent for May 2020 on time, while 37% indicated they were unable to pay on time. Further, about 30.9% of the households who usually pay rent on time were unable to pay.
That is Cabinet Secretary for Treasury Ukur Yatani giving a breakdown on the effect of COVID-19 on the country's economy. We'll be giving you more details later on. But the decision by the government to cancel the entire academic calendar